Sometimes life changes in a moment. Plans disappear, security vanishes, and the future suddenly feels empty. Long ago in Bethlehem, a woman named Naomi faced a season like that. A famine struck the land, food became scarce. So Naomi, her husband, and her 2 sons left their home and moved to a foreign land called Moab, hoping life would be better there. But sometimes when we run from hardship, we run straight into deeper pain. In Moab, Naomi's sons married 2 women. One of them was named Ruth. For a moment, it looked like life was stabilizing, but tragedy came again. Naomi's husband died. Then, years later, both of her sons died too. 3 widows were left alone in a foreign land. No protection, no security, no future. Have you ever felt like life kept hitting you again and again, before you even had time to heal? When Naomi heard that food had returned to Bethlehem, she decided to go home. She told her daughters-in-law to stay in Moab. One of them did. But Ruth made a decision that would change history. She said, "Where you go, I will go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people, and your God, my God." Ruth was leaving everything familiar behind, her country, her culture, her future, all for loyalty. When Ruth arrived in Bethlehem, she was an outsider, a foreigner, a poor widow with nothing. Ruth could have stayed in her homeland where life would be easier. Instead, she chose loyalty over comfort. Would you stay loyal when life becomes difficult? To survive, Ruth went to gather leftover grain in the fields after the harvesters finished. It was exhausting work, but Ruth didn't complain. She simply did what she could with what she had. And sometimes, that's exactly where miracles begin. The field Ruth worked in belonged to a wealthy man named Boaz. When Boaz heard about Ruth's loyalty to Naomi, he was moved. Instead of ignoring her, he protected her. He told his workers to leave extra grain behind for her. To Ruth, it probably felt like luck, but sometimes, what we call coincidence is God quietly arranging our future. Naomi began to realize something extraordinary. Boaz was not just a kind stranger, he was a family redeemer. In their culture, a redeemer could restore a family's future. Naomi saw hope again. The same Naomi who once said life had become bitter, now began to see that God had never abandoned them. Sometimes when life hurts, people blame God. Naomi did too. She couldn't see that God was still working behind the scenes. Boaz honored Ruth's courage and kindness. He redeemed Naomi's family, and he married Ruth. The foreign widow who arrived with nothing was now honored in Israel. But the story didn't end there. Ruth and Boaz had a son named Obed. Obed became the grandfather of King David, and generations later, from that same family line, came Jesus Christ. Ruth arrived in Bethlehem as a poor outsider, but God turned her quiet faithfulness into a story that would change the world. God can build extraordinary things from ordinary faithfulness. And you? Have you ever faced a moment where life seemed to fall apart just like Naomi did? Or have you ever had to choose between what is comfortable and what is right, the way Ruth did? If you were in Ruth's place, would you have had the courage to leave everything behind for loyalty and faith? Do you believe that even in the hardest seasons of life, God might still be quietly preparing something better?